I'm James Rod, CEO of Modality Systems.
I'm Justin Morris, Country Manager for Australia at Modality Systems.
First, if we move on to 2018, for us, it's the start of yet another year, which is always exciting. Obviously, there's more parts of the world and more organisations we'll be talking to. I'm sure there'll be more announcements from the various vendors in this space, and more demands coming from customers. We know globally there's a lot of financial pressure on organisations, so the need to have some proof points on ROI is actually kind of starting to trend up a little bit again in terms of. Really, it's a pretty transformational projects these days. It's not just about, you're changing an old bit of technology for a new technology. You are actually trying to change the way businesses work, and not just in the way that they work internally. I think there's this concept of what you talk about what you do and how your organisation works to itself. But for every kind of company, you're servicing somebody else that's outside of your organisation.
Yeah,
we feel that's this inside out, outside in sort of model. You've got to look at the market. Who are your customers? What experience do they want? I know when we've had some examples of different organisations from public sector, from healthcare, from social services, where they're really looking at the consumer side and how the consumers are going to consume what the offer and the services that company can provide. But it's not just that. We see it in all sorts of sectors as well. And there's an example we were talking about the other day.
Yeah, there was, which is one that we've been helping a services provider in Australia with, where they've got some ways they want to transform both their user experience of their staff and how they're productive in getting things done, and also their customer experience. And so looking at ways that when they're organising care for their clients in their homes, things like gardening and plumbing and just coming in housekeeping and things, of how they can make that as customer-centric as possible, so that when that carer goes through, delivers that service, then that's then recorded and then delivered back up into a back end to a care service, and they have full end-to-end exposure of that outcome, and then that is then exposed to a sort of like a client advisor when they go in and re-engage with that person. And then the same if that client then calls into their care centre, which is a sort of contact centre powered experience, that when they call in, they want something that then ensures that call is answered by somebody that's already got a relationship and rapport built with that client in the first place, because then that keeps the customer experience at the centre of all of that. And one thing that we did when we were talking with the CEO and some of the execs was that the passion within the organisation for that customer centricity has always been there, and so the tool and the experience that is then delivered next year to empower that and transform it further delivers on that passion and doesn't sort of move away from that and diverge.
It's when you talk about that sort of kind of care type service, it's the experience that you're going to deliver again becomes that platform of technology, because back to any organisation. If you've got to take a person physically into your organisation, you look at a retail, you've got to have a retail shop. However, online retail, you don't. But you want that user to have as common an experience as possible.
Yeah.
And then you look at some of the B2C versus B2B type engagements, and you're looking at the choice of technologies they've got, from the various mobile devices, smart devices, to professional rooms and environments, big telepresence environments, video environments, desktop type experiences. So trying to emulate that technical capability, again with the security aspect of it as well, and making sure the data that you're gathering, the information that you're recording, be it personal, be it professional, be it financial, doesn't really matter. There's something in there. So you've got to have those vertical rules, the vertical compliance regulation components that are associated with that, and then make sure you deal with it properly. And given that you now are opening your doors to any technology from anywhere at any point, almost in any country, you're crossing so many boundaries and borders. So it's great that you've got the platform technology that allows that user capability. It's great now we've got tool sets that allow us to build the security, the compliance, the management that sits around it. And then it's back to the pressure. You're giving people technologies that does things differently. And that's back to this whole user adoption piece and how you educate the company. I've said for many, many years now is organisations don't spend money on IT for the sake of it. They would upgrade a network because they need to run an application, and the application has to perform appropriately. That application has to perform quickly enough, well enough, so that when users are using that application, something gets more efficient. And something is generated that adds value to that organisation. Sometimes it's saving money, sometimes it's making money, it doesn't really matter. But I think those all come together, and I think because there's all these different components now that's the one project, whereas historically there wouldn't have been. It was kind of everything was siloed. And so I think that's, as we look into 2018, we look at vertical markets, we look at platform technology and how you verticalise the capability of it, and then how you actually see it through. And you actually say, right, ROI was this. ROI only ever pays back when users use it.
Yeah.
And customers engage via it. If nobody uses it, then you might as well tear it up before you start. So you have to see it through. And I certainly see that being a massive push through 2018.